Squidward. Try to imagine him in his underwear. Oh no, he's hot!
Do you guys remember when the theory of Squidward and Squilliam being ex-lovers started making rounds a couple years ago? I believe it was a YouTuber, Alex Bale, who came up with it. But anyways, yes, Squidward and Squilliam had a lovers to enemies trope. Now, I'm just a guy who went down a rabbit hole at 3 a.m., but get comfortable, because we're about to dive into one of the most tantalizing conspiracy theories to ever bubble it up from Bikini Bottom's depths. Forget the mystery of the Krabby Patty formula, or SpongeBob's eternal quest for his boating license. Today we're exploring the sizzling and salty theory that Squidward Tentacles and Squilliam are ex-lovers. We all know about the fierce rivalry between Squidward and Squilliam, as they both share interests in music and art. As far as we know, this rivalry started when the four nations lived together in harmony. Then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked... Sorry, wrong cartoon. Let's kick things off by heading back to where it all began. High school. Picture it. Squidward and Squilliam, both brimming with teenage ambition and talent, locked in an intense rivalry that's just a little too intense to be purely professional. What if their animosity goes beyond simple competition? What if it's personal? Why would two grown squids be so obsessed with outdoing each other if there wasn't some deep, emotional history there? In the episode, Band Geeks, Squilliam calls Squidward out of the blue, not just to boast, but to really rub his success in Squidward's face. Squidward's reaction? Panic. Absolute, unadulterated panic. He's usually the king of indifference. But when it comes to Squilliam, he's a nervous wreck. Why would Squidward care so much about Squilliam's opinion unless there were some unresolved feelings at play? I mean, come on. Squidward usually can't be bothered to get out of bed. But one call from Squilliam and he's organizing a whole marching band? That's not just motivation, that's desperation. Squilliam gloats about his success and Squidward panics. Squidward is so flustered that he lies about having a band. Why go through all that trouble for a rival? Because it's not just rivalry, it's personal. So Squilliam's first appearance in the show is him taunting Squidward. He calls Squidward out of nowhere. They clearly haven't seen each other in a while, just to taunt him about not having a band. The episode starts with him lying to impress Squilliam, which becomes a frequent plot in almost every Squilliam-centric episode. He teases Squidward, telling him he has the life that Squidward always wanted, suggesting they must have been close enough for Squilliam to know that Squidward has always wanted to be a famous musician. So Squilliam ends up being there at the Bubble Bowl anyway, implying he deliberately set Squidward up to fail. He even pinches Squidward's cheek and calls him Squiddy. We all know what happens next, with Squilliam having a heart attack after Squidward's performance and Squidward gleefully jumping into the air. So what if Squidward and Squilliam are ex-boyfriends, and Squilliam's just being the petty ex-boyfriend who tries to brag to Squidward in reminding him that he's better than him as an excuse for Squidward to admit that he still has feelings for him? What if Squilliam still have feelings for Squidward, hence the pet name Squiddy? This theory also explains how Squilliam even has Squidward number to call him. He was always trying to rile him up and get his attention. He's literally the personification of pull their hair if you like them. Squilliam's conversations with Squidward seemed flirtatious. Although he was mocking Squidward, it did not come out as harsh to me. It was more like playful teasing. Squidward would shake in his boots and stumble over his sentences whenever Squilliam was present. Squilliam thinks he's better than Squidward, but he nevertheless allows him to exist in his world. I'm pretty sure Squidward takes up 75%, if not more, of Squilliam's brain. He might have just ignored him, like Squidward does with everyone he considers beneath him and dislikes, but he does not. Fast forward to House Fancy, and we see Squilliam calling Squidward just to brag about his house being featured on TV. Squidward's response? He trashes his own house in a wild attempt to one-up Squilliam. This isn't just about winning a competition, it's about proving something deeply personal. Squilliam knows every little detail about Squidward's life, right down to his TV watching habits. That's some next level ex-stalking behavior if you ask me. He even knows Squidward's favorite show. A jealous Squidward is forced to watch as his rival is being praised over his nice house. And just as Withers is going to say that Squilliam has the fanciest house, Squidward calls over the phone saying his house is fancier than Squilliam's. Withers then decides to check Squidward's house for himself, and Squidward goes to great lengths to get his house into shape. Squidward's house is destroyed, yet Withers adores the house. Nicholas Withers then crowns Squidward as House Fancy Prince, much to Squilliam's displeasure. Squilliam then falls onto the ground and cries, earning another win for Squidward. Now, let's talk about the physical interactions between these two. In multiple episodes, Squilliam initiates physical contact, pinching Squidward's cheek, throwing an arm around him, and even getting up close and personal. And Squidward, who normally shuns any form of physical affection, doesn't seem to mind. It's like there's this unspoken history softening Squidward's usual grumpiness. In Squilliam Returns, Squilliam shows up not just to flaunt his success, but to really dig into Squidward's insecurities. It's classic ex-lover behavior, trying to maintain some twisted connection by keeping Squidward feeling inferior. Squilliam's obsession with Squidward's failures is more than just rivalry. It's a desperate attempt to stay relevant in Squidward's life. If Squidward and Squilliam had Facebook, Squilliam would be that ex who likes all your photos, just to show they're still watching. Both Squidward and Squilliam exhibit a level of emotional investment that's way too intense to be mere rivalry. Squidward's actions towards Squilliam are extreme. He lies, schemes, and even destroys his own house just to get one up on Squilliam. This isn't about proving his artistic prowess. It's about showing his worth to someone who once mattered deeply to him. Squidward's life hack for impressing an ex: destroy your house and hope for the best. Not exactly HGTV material, but hey, it's Bikini Bottom. In House Fancy, when Squilliam loses to Squidward, he cries. That's right, the guy who's always on top of the world breaks down in tears. This isn't just about losing a contest. It's about losing face in front of someone who was once important to him. It's the kind of emotional vulnerability you only show around someone who really knows you. Squilliam crying over losing to Squidward is like Jeff Bezos shedding a tear because his yacht wasn't the biggest at the marina. Squidward and Squilliam's interactions are laced with subtle signs of affection. Squidward's slip-ups, like calling Squilliam hot, are more than just comedic moments. They're Freudian slips revealing his true feelings. During a lunch break at the Krusty Krab, Squidward sees Squilliam and panics, admitting that Squilliam is hot. What if this isn't just a joke, but a moment of vulnerability that Squidward, the epitome of indifference, rarely shows? It's the reaction of someone who still has unresolved feelings. It's like that moment when you run into your ex at the grocery store looking like a mess and suddenly remember why you spent so much time getting ready back in the day. Squilliam consistently goes out of his way to taunt Squidward, showing up at his workplace, home, and even his music gigs. This level of dedication to making Squidward feel inferior is not just about rivalry, it's about maintaining a connection, no matter how twisted. Squilliam's dedication to annoying Squidward is like that one friend who can't stop texting their ex at 3 a.m. after a few too many kelp shakes. Squidward and Squilliam's relationship is complex, filled with unresolved tension, emotional scars, and a history that goes beyond mere rivalry. Their interactions are charged with a depth that hints at a once close bond turned sour. It's the classic lovers to enemies trope, filled with drama, passion, and lingering feelings. Spongebob and Patrick are the Ross and Rachel of Bikini Bottom. But Squidward and Squilliam? They're more like the Blair and Chuck from Gossip Girl. Minus the headbands and scheming, of course. So what's the final verdict? Are Squidward and Squilliam ex-lovers? The evidence certainly points in that direction. Now, I was on the side of the fan base that just thought Squilliam was jealous of Squidward because he has real friends like SpongeBob and the other main characters around him. All of Squilliam's friends are not really friends, but people who like him for his money. Squilliam can't handle the fact that what he calls a loser has people who care about him. Even more so, Squidward actually found love in one episode while Squilliam still has not. So, all he can do to fill that void is to continue putting Squidward down to make himself feel good. I mean, think about it for someone who acts like he thinks Squidward is worthless. Squilliam sure puts a lot of energy and time into being around him, even if it's to taunt him. And Squidward cares a lot about what Squilliam thinks. His success makes him more secure than jealous toward a former friend. He even said Squilliam was hot. And I mean, if you can't beat him. Squilliam also knows a lot about Squidward, like where he lived, and he seems to follow him around. Their intense rivalry, emotional investment, and subtle signs of affection all hint at a deeper, more personal connection. Whether you ship them or not, one thing is clear. Squidward and Squilliam's relationship is one of the most intriguing dynamics in Bikini Bottom. Next time you watch old episodes of SpongeBob, keep an eye out for those subtle hints. Who knows, maybe we'll get a spin-off series. Squidward and Squilliam, Underwater Love. What do you think? Are you convinced that Squidward and Squilliam were once an item, or do you think it's all just a wild conspiracy? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's keep this debate going. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more crazy cartoon theories and deep dives. See you in the next video.